Well, hot dog, it's a video about Mickey Mouse. Where's a mousetrap when you need it? No, not that one. God, I wish it was that one. You are creatively redundant. Whenever you bring up Mickey Mouse, it's inevitable that people will discuss the Disney company's history and failings rather than its successes, or even Mickey the character himself. Ooh, he's a mascot of an evil corporation. Ooh, he owns everything because he's a corporate monster. Do you want to know something else? I never liked your hot dogs. Ever.
Oh, that hurts! So much unhappiness! Oh, my heart!
Or alternatively, when you bring up Mickey Mouse, people get incredibly sentimental and nostalgic. Not for the character himself, but rather what he represents and the experiences that said person probably had at the Disney parks. I myself have never been to a single amusement park or theme park in my life, including the Disney parks, and I am not bitter about that whatsoever. To me, it is ridiculously easy to make fun of Mickey Mouse and Disney's history. Mickey is the face of the Disney company after all, and is first and foremost the company mascot. Steamboat Willie now being in the public domain results in making fun of the company even easier. And with everyone and their cousin hopping on the bandwagon of said short becoming public domain, I decided to stay as far away from the short as possible, and instead talk about Runaway Brain. Because YouTube is gonna be like this for a while. And as much as I wanted to avoid the subject of Steamboat Willie, you can't talk about Mickey Mouse without talking about copyright ownership. Legal protection leads to very uncomfortable situations when it comes to copyright, forcing a nursery to paint over their walls, for instance. Copyright law is a huge part of Mickey's story, after all, considering the Disney company's lobbying efforts led to the Copyright Act of 1976, which allowed copyright protection for Mickey Mouse to be extended, and they did it again in 1998, making the law extend the copyright term for any character to be 95 years. Changing copyright law in an attempt to protect Mickey Mouse from copyright infringement has actually caused more harm than good. The harm being that it feels like Disney is, instead of protecting Mickey Mouse's character, they're keeping Mickey out of the grubby hands of the general public, putting him on a pedestal, making him untouchable. Mickey hasn't appeared in any theatrical releases since 2013 with the short Get a Horse. Before that, it was Runaway Brain in 1995, and people scrambled to get the short pulled from shows outside of the US. The only way you can see the short now is if you happen to own a copy of Walt Disney Treasures DVD. Volume 2. This thing is not on Disney Plus, and it probably never will be. This is why physical media is so vitally important in the preservation of the history of animation. But I understand that physical media is also an incredibly expensive investment for a lot of people, which is yet again another reason why it needs to be on streaming services like Disney Plus. And though Disney Plus have included a disclaimer before such movies like Dumbo or Peter Pan explaining that these movies do contain outdated cultural depictions, there are other pieces of media from Disney's history that deserve the same treatment. Pretending that something doesn't exist is just as bad as pretending certain events in our history never happened. I mean, it's very clear why moments like this are censored or even not put on Disney Plus, but the reason behind Runaway Brain not being on Disney Plus is really not clear. Runaway Brain wasn't buried because of copyright stuff. There's nothing in the short that seems inappropriate or racially offensive either. So why is this one buried more than any other Disney short? Why is Disney trying to force people to forget this short ever existed? I mean, Jeffrey Katzenberg left Disney in 1994, and guess what was in production at that time? Yeah, Runaway Brain. He was the guy that gave Runaway Brain the most backing. He was the most supportive. Why did he turn his back on this short and just walk away from Disney? Well, that's actually very clear. It was to start DreamWorks. But I can't help but feel Jeffrey Katzenberg walking out on Disney was what caused Runaway Brain to not be recognised for what it did for the company, or what it should have done for the company anyway. And though this short was nominated for an Oscar for Best Animated Short, it lost against Nick Park's Wallace and Gromit: A Close Shave. Close shave more than deserved, the Oscar that year. And to me, tonally speaking, both of these shorts have very dark themes to them, but said dark themes aren't expected from something from the Disney studio. And I feel like the loss at the Oscars that year was just further excuse for the executives to make sure this short not only was buried, but stayed buried to eventually be forgotten. And though the reason that is given by Disney for taking Runaway Brain out of circulation is because of its use of evil Mickey and also the dark comedic death of the professor, I feel like if that was the problem, the short shouldn't have been greenlit in the first place. The entire point of Runaway Brain was meant to reinvigorate Mickey Mouse. Not just Mickey Mouse the character, but also Disney animation in general when it comes to their animated shorts. I mean, it's not even listed on the Disney Wiki for 1995. What does that tell you? I am not the biggest fan of Jeffrey Katzenberg whatsoever, but I feel like one of the best things he did for the Disney company was support this short so much. So to leave right in the middle of its production just seems like a huge betrayal to me. Especially since this was one of the few shorts from Disney that weren't animated in the Burbank studio, but was rather animated in France instead. Mainly by a team of up-and-coming animators with the encouragement of Andreas Deja, who is arguably nowadays a Disney veteran. Though the short does give Jeffrey Katzenberg a very fitting nod with his initials on a pink slip. Subtle. Originally characterized as a cheeky, lovable rogue, Mickey has been rebranded over the years as a nice guy, a spirited yet impulsive hero. Though I guess people see him more as an American icon that signifies animation, goodwill, fun, laughter, and most of all, Walt Disney himself. He is meant to be a symbol of goodwill, surpassing all languages and cultures. In other words, when you see Mickey Mouse, you're supposed to see happiness. Though I think at some point during Disney's history, they got confused between a character being a symbol of happiness and a character being a symbol of flawlessness or innocence. Because Mickey Mouse started off as a character in his own right and was later turned into the mascot for the company, his personality needed to reflect a company as well as the creator. A sort of Jekyll and Hyde thing going on here. Almost implying that Mickey Mouse himself has a split personality. One side being the one that represents a company and the other trying to be his own independent thing away from that. It's probably why this short Runaway Brain that was released in 1995 made Disney executives so nervous. Because the short actually showed Mickey having flaws. And I don't just mean the monster version of Mickey either, I mean the version that we see on screen within the first few seconds of the short. Runaway Brain is a short that not very many people are aware of or remember because Disney made efforts to make sure that this short was buried and forgotten about. I feel like this short was buried more to protect the Disney brand rather than protecting Mickey himself. And that's the problem when a character is also a mascot of a company.
Talk about your ironclad contract.
Mickey Mouse to me has not been allowed to be a character because you can't separate the Walt Disney Company from Mickey Mouse the character. I feel like he's not allowed to have a mind of his own, which from a character creation standpoint is incredibly sad to me. And though they played up the hero aspect in Runaway Brain, as well as making references to movies like Army of Darkness and The Exorcist, with a heavy influence of Frankenstein's monster, as well as a little King Kong in there, Mickey's imperfect but well-meaning, and that to me is a good development for Mickey to get. But like with Disney's most recent movie Wish, I feel I remember this short more for what it was referencing rather than for what the short was actually doing. Instead of the usual sympathetic underdog who gets by on pluck and ingenuity in the face of challenges bigger than himself, we not only see Mickey get captured and body swapped with a Frankenstein monster body, but we also see a monstrous version of Mickey's body possessed by said monster, and Mickey, while still in Julius's body, has to fight the monster version of himself while trying to protect Minnie. Seeing the words Mickey Mouse and possessed in the same paragraph feels so wrong, but also oh so right at the same time. To many people around the world, Mickey is more of a symbol than a character. one who is recognized as a symbol of joy and childhood innocence. So there seems to be two Mickeys, Mickey the character and Mickey the corporate monster. And I'd argue that both versions are shown in the short Runaway Brain, both literally and figuratively. Though I do find it incredibly sad that we can't separate Disney corporate from Disney creative, especially when it comes to the history of Mickey Mouse the character, not the company mascot. A perfect example of this is the story behind Disney's handling of the short Runaway Brain that was released in 1995. So, who actually remembers seeing Runaway Brain in theatres? Because I sure don't. Probably because it was shown before a Goofy movie in the UK, and in the 90s, for me growing up, going to the movies was seen as a thing of the devil. So a little background about my history with Disney. I grew up in a very strict and religious household. For the first 11 years of my life, I was not permitted to watch anything secular or listen to any secular music whatsoever. What I mean by that is basically any media that we consumed had to be either made by Christians or made for Christians. So most, if not all, of Disney was banned for us unless our parents watched it first. Trips to the cinema were also incredibly rare as a result. So I never got to see much of anything made by Disney until I was in high school, though we were allowed to see Mickey's Christmas Carol, Pluto's Christmas Tree, and The Prince and the Pauper. This was the Mickey I grew up with, a down-on-his-luck beggar who dreams of one day living like a king, and while he gets the chance to when he swaps places with the prince for a day, he is clearly in over his head and lacks the confidence and authoritative stance to be a royal. Mickey to me was a rags to riches character, much like the real-life Walt Disney himself, though I didn't learn this until I was much older. So you can imagine what a tonal whiplash Runaway Brain must have been for people in 1995. Owie! I'm sure if my parents got wind of this short back then, it would have also been banned due to its monstrous depiction of Mickey and the on-screen death of Dr. Frank and Ollie. Not something any parent wants their kid to see without a heads up first. And though yeah, the name Dr. Frank and Ollie is a clever nod to Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnson, also showing the character not only dying on screen but also disintegrate to dust in Mickey's hands. Or at least while he's possessing Julius's body anyway. I don't know, seems a little disrespectful to Frank and Ollie.
Hey, you see that? That's the way to do it. That's old school. Yeah? No school like the old school.
Though having Kelsey Grammer be the voice of Dr. Frank and Ollie kinda helps to make up for this. Maybe. Kinda interesting that the only Mickey Mouse thing I remember watching after this was the House of Mouse series, which incidentally is also another thing that's still not on Disney Plus, where it would show some classic theatrical cartoons as well as news shorts created specifically for this show, as well as Mickey Mouse Works, which was House of Mouse's predecessor. Oh look, it's my boy. Funnily enough, Runaway Brain was never featured in this show. Gee, I wonder why. Seems like Disney was making another attempt at cleaning up Mickey's image just as much as it was cleaning up its own, making him an MC of a nightclub instead of a video game addicted suburbanite. Because oh boy, we can't have our mascot making mistakes, can we? And since I brought up House of Mouse, it also gives me an excuse to show one of my favourite things Disney has ever done. Ever.
Where is Mickey Mouse?
Oh my gosh!
Hey, you haven't seen Oh My Gosh yet, okay?
I was just trying to help you be nice.
You know what sounds nice to me?
Roasted mouse!
MICKEYMOUSE. Fun fact about that video game scene in Runaway Brain where Dopey is fighting the old hag from Snow White in a Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat kind of parody. Apparently it was originally meant to be a virtual reality thing where the opening shot was outside Mickey's house where the audience hears gunfire. Then the shot would cut to the inside to find Mickey firing a virtual reality shotgun at a Bambi game. Yeah, originally they were going to have Mickey Mouse actually shoot Bambi's mother. I'm not entirely sure, according to my research, whose idea this was initially. Oh, who am I kidding? It was probably Jeffrey Katzenberg. But you can imagine why not given any chance in hell to be the final thing. As twisted as that would have been, I have to admit I find that kind of funny.
Fatality.
Even if the original version of Runaway Brain was ultimately more in your face, the struggles the production had to get the right balance of what Mickey can and can't do in this short was a result that Mickey Mouse himself is just too vanilla. The short is widely criticized because it shows a Mickey Mouse with an edge. And yet, in the context of the story that's being told here, yeah, that makes complete sense. Before Mickey became a cute corporate symbol, Mickey Mouse did have more of an edge to him. The very idea of having Mickey play a video game at the start of the short was already a non-traditional tone for a Mickey Mouse short. A fun thing I also just noticed after rewatching this short is the Starship Enterprise from Star Trek appears in the short. It's seen as a model on top of a desk in Mickey Mouse's house. Why this is there, I have no idea. I mean, this short is going boldly, but I wouldn't say it's going somewhere no one's gone before. But it is going places that Mickey Mouse himself hasn't been before, I guess. And this short is more of a science fiction story than slice of life thing. So maybe that's why she's there? I really have no clue. Another question I have is why Zazu appears twice in this short. Once near the start of the short when Mickey is sucked down into the basement, and a second time when Julius roars at him, Zazu flies out of Julius's mouth, implying that he ate Zazu at some point. Impeccable timing, Your Majesty. Just a random reference to The Lion King squeezed in there for good measure, but otherwise I really have no clue why he's in there. Chris Bailey, the director of Runaway Brain, when asked why this short isn't on Disney Plus, has a kind of vague answer. He simply says that it's likely because this short is considered too edgy. Probably the same reason why Pluto's Judgment Day is not on Disney Plus, a Silly Symphony short that has Pluto dream about going to hell. And probably why the Silly Symphony The Mad Doctor short, released in 1933, is also not on Disney Plus. Probably the one that is closest to the tone of Runaway Brain. Probably what Runaway Brain was meant to be calling back to. Dr. Frank and Ollie himself bears similarities to early Mickey Mouse villains, including the Mad Doctor and also Professor X, Double X, and Triple X. The short Mad Doctor could be considered Runaway Brain's direct predecessor, since Mad Doctor was also banned due to its horror overtones, which even back then was considered unusual for a Mickey Mouse cartoon. And strangely enough, the Mad Doctor is an antagonist in the video game Epic Mickey, as well as Epic Mickey 2, The Power of Two. With all the horror creepypasta versions of Mickey that already exist, people seem to forget that an official one exists in Andres Deja's design of Monster Mickey, who is possessed by Julius, a parody of Frankenstein's monster, and modelled after Pegleg Pete, who, in spite the fact that Disney has been trying to bury Runaway Brain, appears as the secret boss in Kingdom Hearts 3D.
What was that about?
I don't know, let's ask Andres Deja.
Oh wait, it's Mickey's house.
Not good enough. Who said that? That's it. Most people don't even know that short because it's not really shown widely. But so we did this animated short based on the old Frankenstein story with Mickey Mouse, and I think it's our best ones that we did, our group of people.
Andres Deja being the animator behind Scar, Jafar, Gaston, and my personal favourite, Hercules. I always manage to somehow squeeze in a Hercules reference in my videos. So this short actually represents a huge turning point within the history of animation, especially in the US. Perhaps without Runaway Brain, DreamWorks never would have existed. And it can be argued without Jeffrey Katzenberg, there would be no Disney company now, since when he joined Disney, he played a huge part in the resurrection of the company during the Disney Renaissance. And though I feel that the Disney Renaissance happened in spite of Katzenberg, Runaway Brain ended up being the main casualty of Jeffrey Katzenberg leaving Disney. Much like how you can't separate Mickey from Walt, you also can't separate Mickey Mouse from the company he represents. Without Mickey Mouse, Disney would never have found his success. So you would think the last thing that the Disney company would ever do was bury a part of Mickey's history in some attempt to hide it from the general public and deny it ever happened, right? I mean, Disney's done far worse things.
My oh my, what a wonderful day.
Something that Disney needs to embrace is its imperfections. It may ride on a legacy of wish fulfillment, you know, the whole thing of wishing upon a star, or the Disney parks being the land where dreams come true. This short felt like an injection of self-realization that we are imperfect beings, and this was actually a refreshing thing to see Disney do. At the same time though, seeing Monster Mickey drool over Minnie, who is oblivious to what has happened to him, is kind of funny, but also comes across as a little predator-ish, which makes Mickey's eventual rescue of Minnie all the more meaningful. But yeah, even in a short where we have a Monster Mickey, we still fall back on the tired cliche of, ooh, girl is in trouble, boy must save her. Even though he's almost 100 years old now, to me, Mickey feels more like an ancient relic than a national treasure to be celebrated. Mickey is seen as old-fashioned rather than timeless, and though yeah, the 2017 run of new Mickey Mouse cartoons did give Mickey a much-needed makeover, while also returning him to its roots, I can't help but feel like the Disney company just don't have a clue what to do with the little guy. Once Upon a Studio, the short which celebrated 100 years of the Disney company, which was released in 2023, had him standing in front of Walt Disney's portrait in awe, which, though moving and very sentimental, especially with Feed the Birds in the background, which was Walt Disney's favourite song, which was also played on the piano in Walt's office by Richard M. Sherman, the only person who is allowed to play the piano that now resides in Walt Disney's office. But it also felt like Mickey might as well be visiting Walt's grave here. It felt sad and incredibly morbid to me. Kind of like the scene in Mickey Mouse Christmas Carol when Mickey Mouse is crying over Tiny Tim's grave. People have taken that scene and turned it into a meme about the Disney company, and Mickey is crying over the grave of the Disney company. God, I hate meme culture. But as Mickey says, on with the show. But what show is that exactly, Mickey? I think you should have asked, when am I getting my own feature-length animated movie, Father? Father, can you come out of your icebox, please? My company keeps making live-action remakes. Please make it stop. Runaway Brain seems to be the closest thing Mickey has ever had to a full-length animated feature with a theatrical release. It took him long enough to get his own ride at a Disney park, for God's sake. How long will it be till he gets his own movie? Disney built its empire on brand experience. Disney is known as the most prolific brand on the planet, boasting commercial success and cross-generational appeal. This is an incredible achievement and shouldn't be ignored. Disney has led the way in terms of immediately recognizable visual identity, innovation, storytelling, and, of course, consumer engagement. Though Disney's roots are firmly planted in animation, the mission of the company is to, of course, entertain. Quote, "The mission of the Walt Disney Company is to entertain, to inform and inspire people around the globe through the power of unparalleled storytelling, reflecting the iconic brands, creative minds, and innovative technologies that make ours the world's premier entertainment company." End quote. Whether or not Disney has maintained this mission statement and its values is always up for debate. I feel like they have the perfect character to exhibit these values in, but do everything in their power to avoid using Mickey Mouse. Why? Is it to avoid another Runaway Brain situation? Does Runaway Brain go against Disney's mission statement or its values? Is this why Disney is trying to bury this short because they screwed up somehow? Even though it is in my eyes innovative and creative and is made with high quality and engaging storytelling, surely this short does everything Disney's mission statement requires it to do. Maybe its integrity is what should be questioned here. Integrity is a value that is synonymous with Mickey's character after all. Mickey to me is a character that takes us back to our origins. He is a symbol of hope from despair. He is a character who is playful, inventive, resourceful, and fun. Saying these things though also paints Mickey as this flawless deity, that when he's depicted as imperfect, that somehow paints him out of character. So when we see Mickey being addicted to video games like we do in Runaway Brain, that's already a break away from the flawless, innocent idea we have had of Mickey for so long, before we even see the monstrous version later in the short. Just like in Runaway Brain, today we have two Mickeys. Mainstream Mickey, who is kind of a mix between the character and the corporate monster. And then we have counterculture Mickey, the Mickey that belongs to the general public. Innovation is crucial to the continuing success of any organization. Innovation is about bringing new, fresh ideas, methods, or inventions to the table, to reinvigorate or reinvent something. To me, Runaway Brain was very innovative, especially when comparing it to previous theatrical Mickey shorts. Mickey's evolution into different versions reflect his creator and society's changes. Society changing so fast these days that Mickey and Disney just can't keep up. In my opinion, they shouldn't even try to. Their attempt to keep up with staying relevant is to buy up as many different companies as they possibly can, instead of letting their own character evolve. The evolution of a character should reflect the evolution of the creator. And though historically speaking, Walt Disney himself is technically not the original creator of Mickey Mouse, that was Ub Iwerks, Walt Disney was the one that gave Mickey Mouse life. So the problem is, after Walt Disney's death, I feel that Disney is no longer reflecting creativity within Mickey, but rather its corporate identity. After Walt's death, Mickey's evolution followed Disney Company Corporate instead of Disney Company Creative, struggling to keep up with a skeptical, demanding, and frankly entitled audience. And this is made clear in Disney doing its damnedest to bury this amazing short that is Runaway Brain. In a corporate sense, Runaway Brain was a misstep, but creatively speaking, this is one of Disney's finest in my opinion, and it needs to be seen. What was meant to be a refreshing new take on the character ended up being one giant step in a twisted direction, and I for one want to see more of this kind of thing. I personally don't see Runaway Brain as the wrong direction to take Mickey in. Disney has always had a dark underbelly, and I am tired of it pretending that it doesn't exist. The macabre, creepy dark side of Disney's history should be embraced, not buried. And that's why I feel Runaway Brain needs to be unearthed. I'm Mad Munchkin, stay creative.